And we are live. What's up, guys? It is Toddler Thursdays with Carter Raimondi, uh,
Hello.
which I don't know which Twitter account you want to use,
I just used my at Carter Ramondi.
at Carter Raimondi, and John Mulcahy, at J_Milkyoki. Uh, Hamza could not join us tonight because he has shitty internet, so he's going to backseat podcast through Twitter, which is why I probably won't know what's going on Twitter at all. But I guess we've got now all the technical difficulties fixed for now, I hope. And so, Carter, do you want to go through what we're going to talk about, or should I?
You can start off on what we're going to talk about, I guess.
Got my little list here. All right, so it basically, in general, we're going to talk about the big surprises and disappointments of the season, the rookies that are starting to impress most of the GMs and most of the NHL fan bases for certain teams, Buffalo. And we're going to talk about the NHLers that are sort of stepping up above all else for awareness of certain things, like Ben Scrivens and mental disorders, and Jimmy Howard, other players. The Minnesota Wild doing purple jerseys tonight for warm-ups. And lastly, we're going to talk about the embellishment rule and so far how it's been going with the whole fines business and cracking down on it.
You want to start off then?
Okay, so big surprises, I guess. Should we start with?
Yeah, sure. Who do you think has been your number one surprise for? Want to start off with team or players?
I guess it sort of be both. The Islanders. No one expected the Islanders to win 4 games, and then, they got Johnny Boychuk from the Bruins. Oh boy.
Yeah, awesome pickup by Garth Snow. He's really actually proved himself to be very good on the Islanders in the first 6 games. Islanders won the first 4 and then subsequently dropped their next 2. But in those 6 games, Johnny Boychuk has been a great defenseman for them. That was a defensive core last season that was just lacking completely.
Yeah.
Pretty bad defense if you ask me. But definitely the addition of Leddy and Boychuk have helped, especially Boychuk.
Yeah, Boychuk is. I mean, if he's not turning the puck over necessarily, he's a great top 4 defenseman, even a top pairing where they have him tonight against Boston. Um, Garth Snow just looking like Moses for the Islanders right now, just completely pulling the Islanders out of the dirt because they had the offense and maybe not the best goaltending, but when you put some good D in front of the goaltender, I mean, you can make anybody look good.
Yeah, for sure. Boychuk with 2 goals, 4 assists so far, and a +4. That's a pretty decent stats for how much the Islanders lacked in defense last year. So he's definitely a good addition from what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Islanders definitely turning heads for their 4-game win streak. That was something
Only I
we
mean,
really wouldn't have expected.
who was it? Who ended it? The Penguins. So I mean, even if with like certain D, like you're not unbeatable, and it certainly proves that. Like you can't go up against a team like the Penguins with a 4-game win streak and not necessarily a 5-star team and expect to come out with a win. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I believe the game was close. I can't remember the exact score. I think it was like a 1 or 2 goal game.
It's 3-1, but to give credit where it's due, I mean the first 2 games they played the Hurricanes, and then first game they played the Hurricanes. Oh no, sorry, first 2 were Hurricanes, and then Rangers, and then the Sharks. So, I mean, the Hurricanes are an easy win for most teams, but
Yeah.
I think the Islanders, I don't think they'll be able to stay among the top in the NHL this season. I think they're gonna finish somewhere in the middle, fighting for 7th, 8th spot.
I think they can make the playoffs, especially in the East, considering there's a huge drop off. because there are teams that you're going to look at and you're going to see, yeah, these teams could make the playoffs. And normally I'd say Boston's one of them, but with how they've
Uh,
started,
yeah,
I wouldn't expect it.
their start
But
really has
yeah,
not been like what you'd expect. But it's a good test for both teams tonight. I mean, Boston and Islanders are playing right now as we speak, and if Islanders can pull it together and bring out a win, that's huge for them. And if Boston can't win, well, then that's huge for them as well, but not in a good way.
yeah. Um, with such like an arms race in the West, it's not necessarily that huge drop off that you'd expect. But in the East, you see these big powerhouse teams like Montreal and Philly right now, Pittsburgh, Detroit, that look like they're going to make the playoffs, regardless of how bad the Bruins' start was. And then you see other teams like Buffalo, Ottawa, dare I say, um, Carolina, just the Florida Panthers, like teams that you really don't think are going to make the playoffs. The Islanders could squeak in to a decent spot, actually.
Yeah, I think in the East it's a bit tighter than I think that most people are giving it credit for. Definitely, you have the powerhouses: Montreal, Tampa, Rangers, Pittsburgh, who are going to all make it. But the fight for the last couple spots is going to be interesting this year for sure. Columbus is going to be fighting for a spot. Detroit's going to be fighting for the seventh, eighth spot. Toronto, New Jersey's looking good so far this season. The only teams I really can't see fighting for a playoff spot is Carolina and Buffalo. Florida Panthers. Obviously, I'm a Panthers fan, so I have a bit of bias in what I say. But their first games, they've really not played like an awful team. Luongo and Montoya have both played outstanding. So it's gonna be a close final few spots they're gonna be fighting for in the East this year. In the West, honestly, I think it's a little more like you kind of know who's in and who's not.
Right. I think in the East it's definitely a lot easier than looking at the West, especially since that Central Division is just an absolute arms race, and it's quickly turning into it's going from an arms race to a war zone, and especially with teams like Nashville in picking up on players that can move the puck and at the same time could easily injure people with their knees. If you haven't caught on, I'm talking about James Neal. Um, Picking up James Neal was huge for the Predators, even though he is widely known at the time, for right now at least, to be basically Matt Cook or Rafi Torres. And
But
I
with
think,
skill.
yeah, but with a lot more skill. It just, it looks a lot more dangerous, and you're seeing that they're definitely making a presence now in the West, where before you were looking at teams like Chicago and Dallas was making some waves in the Central Division. You've got St. Louis, which was a huge powerhouse last season. Um, just, I mean, and then up against them were like teams that had speed but not much else, like Colorado and Minnesota, who didn't really seem to have really anything other than the speed going for them. And now it's just an arms race, and you wonder whether teams like that are going to make it out of that division, coming out with a playoff spot. I mean, do we bother talking about the Jets? Because do we expect the Jets to get a playoff spot? No, I don't at least.
Absolutely not. Winnipeg will not make the playoffs this year. They'll end up bottom four in the West, and their team is just not strong enough. Their goaltending is too weak, and the fact that they actually refuse to do anything about that is kind of upsetting. I'm not even a Winnipeg fan, but my God, it's just upsetting to see they just won't fix anything there. They're not making moves. They won't touch the team. They think it's gonna fix itself.
I feel like they're waiting for their prospects to sort of age a little bit, and I'm probably a little biased saying this because right now their AHL goaltender with one maybe two shutouts would be Connor Hellebuyck, and he was the starting goaltender for UMass Lowell Riverhawks, where I'm currently going to college. So I am a little biased in saying that, but I think that in waiting for him to age and get a little more experience, they may be tapping into this goaltending that they could actually use and then start focusing on other players. And maybe they just don't want to make a deal with anybody right now, especially since you're looking at teams like Montreal that really want players like Evander Kane, and Andrew Ladd and players like, and they have Winnipeg has talent. They're just not using it, and there's not enough. There's not nearly enough of it. They've got maybe 4 guys with enough talent to, you know, make it look like an NHL team, but it isn't. When you look at the entire team and their depth, they don't have any.
Yeah, and like I even think that they're lacking quite a bit in their prospects. Like I'm obviously not like the most into Winnipeg, but I do know like their top prospects, Josh Morrissey, the defenseman. He will obviously be a pretty solid defender if he can like or when he makes to the NHL. I don't know how he did in the training camp this year, but I know he went 13th overall in 2013. Um, Probably next season they'll look to get him in the lineup, but probably not this season. And then, of course, in the draft this season, Winnipeg took Ehlers, whatever, with the 9th pick. So that's a pretty good prospect pickup on the left wing there. But other than that, I mean, it's not a very good prospect pool.
No, it really isn't. They're not looking at much. For whatever reason, their draft picks are almost invisible. I mean, they weren't picking up guys. They're not good enough to make it anywhere near the playoffs in the regular season, and they're not bad enough to finish in a spot where they're going to get a really good draft pick. It's like they're not a playoff team, but they're not the Oilers, and that's really what you're looking at here is what team is going to try to make the playoffs and what team is going to try to beat the Oilers for Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but when you compare Edmonton and Winnipeg, like obviously Edmonton has the talent, they just can't put it together. That's a big thing. Winnipeg just really doesn't have the talent at the moment. So that's, I think Winnipeg fans they're definitely hurting. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I hope Winnipeg fans didn't think that they were getting a playoff contending team when the Atlanta Thrashers came to Winnipeg, because Atlanta, like, the situation would be the same if it's there or in Winnipeg. So obviously these things take time, but I think the fans are kind of want to see some playoffs or at least some good hockey.
Yeah, and I don't think you're gonna really get that in Winnipeg.
No, not yet. So some other what were we talking about?
We're gonna look at the flip side of the coin, I believe. I mean, what's really going on in the Pacific Division? I mean, Vancouver's the worst team there right now.
Is it? Yeah, no.
No, it's
Edmonton, Arizona.
The Coyote. Oh, I'm sorry, Edmonton. I forgot about Edmonton. I think Pacific, and I think just Pacific America, and then Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver's been a huge disappointment. Well, I can't say huge. I mean,
could be worse.
It could be worse, but it could be better. I think they
could be the Oilers.
That's very true. The Sedins and Verbata have been playing extremely well, and I have been a huge supporter of Radim Verbata throughout his career. Like, playing in Phoenix, I've always pointed him out and just been a huge advocate of his play and what he did down there. He went completely unnoticed, and with a team that was lacking extremely in its offensive capabilities, move him to a place like Vancouver, set him up with the Sedins, and now look what he's doing. Those three are meshing very well together, and I think Verbata definitely complements them extremely well. I forget. I don't know who played on the Sedins line. If it was Kessler, was that their top line, the Sedins and Kessler, or was Kessler's second line?
I believe no, because with Torts, I'd say it was probably Kessler was on the second, maybe the third line even. I mean, we all heard the reports, or for those that haven't, Torts absolutely hated Ryan Kessler, and he had said multiple times that he just wasn't going to play him, or he was going to bench him, or even do what he could to trade him and make him look bad, and John Tortorella just wanted nothing to do with the Vancouver Canucks for whatever reason, but he took the job, most likely just for the money. And I think that he's part of the reason that team is hurting right now.
Yeah, I really didn't see when Tortorella came in to coach Vancouver. I really didn't see him being as bad as he did. I was honestly a big advocate for him. I know
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, I was too. It wasn't until he left the team and he was, all these reports and interviews and this evidence came out that really just didn't care.
well, I think it was evident, like, as the season went on, that, the Sedin's point production was down. The team was just not good. At the end of the season, they didn't, like, their arena looked empty. There was a couple games, the last, like, 4 home games or something. They had a half full arena, and obviously the reports don't show that, but if you watch it or if you remember seeing stuff, there they weren't selling out. They still counted them as sellouts now, but um, people just didn't go, obviously.
Yeah.
So fans were fed up, and there's nothing that the Vancouver management could do but get rid of Tortorella. So I think Vancouver, it's so early in the season, and that's the only thing I don't like about making predictions this soon is, like, it's such a early season. Anything can happen, really. Um, but yeah, Vancouver definitely is benefiting not having Tortorella there.
Yeah.
Um, on the flip side, from Vancouver, talk a bit about the Nashville Predators, who are second in the NHL right now. I think, I don't know, first, uh, third in the NHL with 4 wins, no regulation losses, and 1 overtime loss. So Nashville Predators have been, or sorry,
They've
two
been
overtime
great.
loss. They've been very good this year so far. Obviously, early season, but um, it's like they've definitely benefited this year from James Neal, I think, coming into their team, which obviously is a bit um, a big upgrade for them. They definitely lacked in offensive production last year, and James Neal has done pretty decent for them, I think.
I'd say. I don't know. I'm a little
So
depressed about the Bruins still.
yeah,
I've
4-4.
officially
They're
converted to the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Praise be Perry.
praise be Perry, Scory Perry.
Speaking of amazing forwards and game-winning players, we should talk about surprises for the season. I mean, disappointments, because clearly that has everything to do with good things.
Well, disappointment. I
It's
think we
hilarious
touched.
to watch Carolina, Buffalo, and Edmonton just trip over themselves in the basement of the NHL.
Yeah, Carolina, it looks like an awful hockey team this year, and, like, if you're listening and you're a Carolina fan, oh, this is gonna be a long season for you guys. Buffalo, I think you guys knew it was gonna be long, but Carolina, my God, this hockey team is just bad. Oh, have you seen their lines? No,
I
you
have
haven't,
not,
because
but
nobody cares.
I
Oh, it's
imagine they're
just so bad.
centered around the stalls. Are they?
Well, both of them are injured.
Both. There's four of them on that roster
Little
alone.
quick update here. Sorry, as I watched the Islanders Boston game, Islanders have just went up 3-1 on the Bruins, and Zdeno Chara is injured and will not be returning tonight. So, little quick update there. Um,
I believe I saw something in the Twitter feed about Rick Nash being hurt as well. I don't know what
hmm.
happened. I haven't seen anything other than oh nope, Nash done for the season. That's Steve Nash. My bad.
Oh,
Why is there a basketball feed here in a hockey tweet?
I thought you were talking
Hockey
about Rick
feed.
Nash. I'm like, wow, interesting. So yeah, Carolina's roster, man, they've been a disappointment so far. Um, their second line center, Victor Rask, rookie in the NHL, has played in all their games so far, but my God, I don't think he's really done much. I think he has 1 point, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, no points. Sorry. He has 5 games played, no goals, no assists, -4, 9 shots. That's your second line center for the season there, Carolina. That's rough. Um, Goaltending's not very good down there either. I mean,
Yeah,
Cam Ward has
Carolina.
really.
Cam Ward was supposed to be an absolute god between the pipes, and I haven't seen it lately.
no one has for the last like about 4 seasons. After he took the Hurricanes to the finals and beat Edmonton, he's definitely taken a fall from grace. I do like Khudobin though. Anton Khudobin's an excellent goaltender. Um, but I just think that the team is just too weak offensively and defensively to do anything. So there's a disappointment. Uh, what was another disappointment we had talked about earlier?
The Oilers.
Oh yeah, Oilers. Oh, here
Is it
come
really
the
a
Oilers.
disappointment when you know it's going to happen? The Oilers have officially had their worst start in, oh god, what was it, 16 seasons? Or was
I
it
forget the
since?
number. It was a long time.
It's been a long time since they've had a start this bad. 4 straight losses. Or was it in 3 games they were down by 4 goals each game?
Yeah, they really did not have a good start. They've won 2 in a row, which is good. They they give a little confidence booster. Um, but I mean, the team, it's so frustrating. I live in Edmonton, so obviously you see the culture around the team, and everyone just wants this team to do good, but they just cannot. They just can't do it. It's almost no, it's upsetting almost just to think about it. Um, this team has so much offensive potential, and they just can't get it done. Obviously, Taylor
They've got the
Hall.
D. There's no way they don't have D. I mean, I mean, they have Ference, and that's one thing alone. But I
Lots
mean,
of
like,
people don't really like Ference. In Edmonton, when I talk to people about our team, they really don't like him. I love him. I think he's an excellent defenseman. He's definitely more of a stay-at-home defensive guy, which is something we don't have.
yeah, just give me 1 minute. You can keep going. Edmonton bad.
All right, well, I'll just rant on for a couple minutes. Um, but on their defense, they really lack. Petrie, lots of people are saying he's gone at the end of the season. Um, they brought in Mark Thane, but I really don't think he solves any issues with the defense. He just kind of is there to plug a hole while either they have people developing in their minors or they want to bring in someone, which they probably should have done in the offseason. Marincin, I'm not very high on him, and Nikita Nikitin, I'm not high on him either. I don't know why they signed Nikitin this offseason. I think there was other choices out there. But, besides them, you have two solid defense. Andrew Ference on the defensive side of things, and then Justin Schultz, who's more of an offensive defenseman. But, he hasn't really been looking like the guy that the Oilers fought so hard to get on their team. So it's a bit frustrating seeing how this team has developed, or I guess you could say failed to develop over the last couple of years. I really don't think that they have a chance to make the playoffs, but
Yeah,
there's always a
Edmonton, I don't
possibility.
think has any chance of making the playoffs. I mean, they're better. They're better than they are right now. They should not be losing this many games.
You got something going on over there? Someone like dying?
They're all at my door. Hold on. I had to mute. I had to cut myself short because they were banging on the door.
All right, well we'll give you a moment to do that, and I'll
No,
just.
they ran off now. I can hear them coming when they do. It's not hard because like where my room is, I can hear everything on the entire floor, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing.
Yeah, so you can hear
Anyway,
them coming.
Edmonton equal bad. They should not be. They've got
Basically.
talent. They're not teams like Winnipeg. They shouldn't be losing these games. But it's like, is it with the coaching staff? That's where I think it is at least.
Well, I am not a fan of Dallas Aikens. I do not think he's the right coach for the team. He's just not, in my opinion. I don't even know. I can't really describe him. I don't like him. He's monotone. He sucks. I don't like him. He could do better. I would have liked to see Dan Bilesma coach the Oilers this season. I know he's always obviously had his own questions surrounding him, but personally, I would have liked to see him. Um, Management just it's old boys club in Edmonton. They keep everyone around. They don't want to let them go. Oh, once an Oiler, always an Oiler. That attitude is stupid. I see what they're doing, but it's stupid and it doesn't win hockey games. It doesn't bring your team to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they could, in all honesty, they could probably get Gretzky to coach, but would
Well,
he?
if they wanted, they probably could.
There's so much that they could do that they're not.
Yeah, they definitely are being held back by management, I believe.
All right, next we're looking at hashtag dishonor for Connor McDavid.
Dishonor for Connor race is definitely in full swing. Carolina and Buffalo, the basically only two contenders I see this year. I really don't see another team
Edmonton, I
tanking.
think, could pull out and get another first round, first overall draft pick.
Honestly, if Edmonton Oilers finish in the bottom two, I will eat an Edmonton Oilers hat.
I wouldn't say that because I've already jokingly said that I would eat a hat, and I'm being held to it right now.
I'm saying this on the podcast right now. If the Edmonton Oilers finish 30th or 29th this year, I will eat an Oilers hat. That's how much confidence I have that they will not suck that much. Bottom two, I'll eat a hat. There you go.
Oh, all right then. So I guess that's said and done.
You gotta eat a hat too.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to eat a hat if the Jets don't make the playoffs.
Oh, well, I just eat that hat now. I don't know.
Start thinking of ways to cook hats.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, I wrote this down and we never talked about it. For good things, Darcy Kemper's got 2 shutouts.
Yeah, Darcy Kemper is doing extremely well so far. They've only played 4 games, the Wild have, so I'll give that to them. But, 2 shutouts in 4 games, oh, man. That's really good for Darcy Kemper. If you just give me a second, I just want to actually pull up Darcy Kemper's stats for those games.
Who have the Wild played? They're playing Arizona right now, and they're getting outshot by a decent amount.
So, in the last 2 games, they faced, for the 2 games he played on October 9th, he faced Colorado, and then again on the 14th he faced Colorado. Made only 16 saves in the first game, and 30 in the second, so doubled his saves, essentially. But still maintained the shutout, so pretty good for him so far.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's a decent goaltender. We're looking at he was contending with Backstrom for a long time for the starting position.
Mm-hmm. Obviously he only faced 46 shots in 2 games, so and both against Colorado, a team that was struggling. But still, Colorado has pretty good offensive power, so it certainly wasn't an easy task, but it obviously could have been harder.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Wild fans are fairly happy with him so far.
1 second. So after Kemper and Dishonor for Connor, we have the Awareness Month going on right now. And different organizations and players doing whatnot to support anything awareness, I guess. We got Jimmy Howard sporting a pink Red Wings mask for the month of October. Or maybe the entire season. I wouldn't mind seeing Jimmy Howard in a pink mask all season.
I don't know if he's going to wear it the whole season, but definitely for the month at least, I'm pretty sure. So, good things that the NHL players, teams, coaches, franchises are all doing this season. Bringing awareness to many things. Breast cancer awareness is a big one. Mental health is another. So, it's always nice to see organizations, even like NBA and NFL, do these things. It brings awareness to the causes and definitely makes everyone a little bit at ease at all these issues. So, I know the Minnesota Wild are wearing purple warm-up jerseys, or purple warm-up jerseys today. And Ben Scrivens is wearing a series of masks for I'm pretty sure it's mental health awareness throughout the month.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My entire floor invaded my room.
Oh, no issues.
Yeah, what is it? Scrivens is the one that's really impressing me right now, where he's doing a different one, I think, every week or every game. And right now he's wearing a mask designed by someone with schizophrenia who's actually a successful artist right now. And I believe I think you're right. I think he is auctioning them off after he uses them. But it's just nice to see that somebody's actually putting awareness into like certain things that maybe don't actually get a lot of awareness. Like everyone supports breast cancer during the month of October. It's a huge thing, and while I do agree it doesn't get the awareness that it deserves sometimes, it's got a whole month dedicated to it, and you see like other stuff such as like depression or schizophrenia, bipolar disease, Alzheimer's. They get like maybe a day.
Yeah, I know in Canada, the internet cable service provider Bell does Bell Let's Talk Day. I think in February, maybe it is March, something like that. And it's a whole day, and every time you tweet hashtag Bell Let's Talk or send a text message, they donate like
I think
a
it's
certain amount of money. It's like 0.05 cents per tweet or something.
no. I think it was like it obviously it wasn't a huge amount of money, but I
Maybe
think
it's
it
like
was like
5 cents.
I think it was like a 5 cents or like I want to say 50 cents. It could have been
I
more,
think
it
it
could have
was
been
five
less.
cents. But still, like there was a lot of tweets last year. I remember that was a huge success. So one obviously for a company donating money one day a year, like that's they obviously can't do that every day, right? But it's a nice way to bring attention to it. But it is good that the NHL and like some of their players are doing stuff for the month instead of just a day. Um, I'm not really sure what other teams are doing stuff, but I know those ones for sure are doing um, bringing awareness to the causes. Actually, Minnesota Wild are they're wearing lavender jerseys for
Yeah, I couldn't
Memorial Day.
remember what purple was. I know purple's suicide prevention. I know it's Alzheimer's, but I don't think either of those awareness days or months or weeks, whatever it is, I don't believe any of them are in October. So I'm wondering if that's just like the new Hockey Fights Cancer, because Hockey Fights Cancer has always been purple, but I've never known them to be so big on the purple thing. It was just like, they do a little purple sticker or something, and they've really stepped it up this season with, how they're gonna promote the color purple with, um, awareness for just all cancers in general.
hmm hmm Um, what was next on our list of things to talk about?
The embellishment rule. It would
Yeah,
be.
the new rule this year, embellishment. Actually, I'm gonna bring this rule up.
Yeah,
Read the
the gist
exact.
of it is they're cracking down on embellishment, and now players and coaches are gonna get fined. It's like a sliding scale. It's like if this player's called this many times, then the coach gets X amount of dollars of a fine, and the player gets Y amount. But it takes a couple times for the coach to actually be fined,
Yeah,
and
so I'm
for each
looking at the
individual
rule
player.
right now, and it's Rule 64, diving embellishments. The supplementary discipline penalties associated with Rule 64.3 will be revised to bring attention to and more seriously penalize players who repeatedly dive and an embellishment in an attempt to draw penalties. So these are how the fines will follow, and it's not very much. So the first incident is a warning, and the coach will not get fined. Second is $2,000, and the coach isn't fined. The third is 3,000, and the coach doesn't get fined. And then from
I think the
uh,
third time on is when coaches
fourth,
start getting fined.
and the fourth incident is $4,000 fine for the player and a $2,000 fine for the coach. And
Yeah,
then from the fifth on, it's $8,000, or sorry, $5,000, and then increasing for the coach. Which honestly, it's not very much. And you think like Man, who is gonna embellish 8 times? That's a lot.
Yeah, I think they're making some very tiny steps towards looking at the coaches for embellishment, especially since like I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and someone in this city is gonna condemn me for saying it. Um, Even with the Bruins and players like Marchand, who just God, I love the guy, but he's a dick sometimes.
Complete.
He dives and like he's not the only player to do it. Dustin Brown does it. Sidney Crosby's done it. PK Subban does it all the time. And I'm not going to claim that Marchand's like he does it sometimes. No, it's pretty often that he does it, and it's, a lot of times he doesn't get called on it. I'll admit it. I see it sometimes. But if you're gonna have a coach like the Montreal Canadiens coach, whose name I can't for the life of me.
Michel Therrien?
Yeah, I can't pronounce that name, but he really, with players like PK Subban, you never know who's gonna die.
Yeah. I think it's more of a, I don't know, it's just more like a slap on the wrist than anything. I mean, for the coaches, I can see it happening. Like, okay, 4 dives in a year, $2,000 penalty, whatever. But for a team, like that's something that could happen. But for like a player to dive like 6 times in a season, that's embarrassing on them. That's shameful almost.
Yeah, I mean, the way out of it, I guess, for coaches is if they're gonna be telling their players to dive, they might as well be telling a different player to dive every time, because if you can avoid the penalty by simply having one guy dive 3 times and then sending that tendency over to another player and tell them to do it instead. And that's, then you as a coach are not actually paying for it, it's just the players.
Well, once the 4th team dive occurs, then the coach has to start paying fines.
Okay,
but I mean, what's a $2,000 penalty for a call in overtime that could potentially win the game if it goes your way? Like
yeah.
who cares about $2,000? They make that in 5 minutes in a game, not even. Like, holy crap! I don't know. I think it's just the NHL trying to
cut down on it.
Yeah, or at least start to. It seems to me like they don't really want to acknowledge it, but this is like saying, okay, fine, we'll just put this out there so people shut up.
Yeah.
Not a knack on them or anything. I really don't think diving is as bad as some people portray it, but I mean, obviously when it happens, it's like, oh, come on.
No, it just sucks when it doesn't go your way. Especially Boston and Montreal games when they play each other.
Yeah.
It sucks to see players like Brad Marchand and PK Subban go out there and one of them's gonna dive. One of them's gonna go absolutely apeshit on something that really shouldn't have hurt them that much. I mean, it's clear, like, if you're getting a stick waved in your face, I think it was Marchand that said this, you get a stick waved in your face, you're gonna freak out. Like, I get that, and I think that that's where the NHL's really, and the fan base of the NHL at the same time, like, you'll hear all the time, like, Marchand wasn't even touched. The stick just went near him, and he fell over like he got shot. And it's like, no, like a lot of times you do see these plays where maybe he didn't get hit, but you do have that instinct to jump, or you're gonna slip and fall on your ass, and you're not gonna be happy about it. I mean, clearly, but sometimes you run into a position where you're gonna see something that really doesn't look like a dive that's gonna get called for a dive, and it's not going to go your way, and you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, I think like in that case for the Marchand thing, like if someone like stick up to your face and you just flinch back, and if the refs see that and say, oh, that's a dive, I think after the NHL will look at it and they can determine if it was a dive, and then they'll put a strike against you or not. But if they feel that, oh no, it was actually you just flinching and whatever, then I don't think it's too big of a deal.
Yeah.
But regardless, diving fucking sucks. If you dive, fuck you.
Yeah. Dustin Brown, Sidney Crosby, Brad Marchand, literally half the Montreal Canadiens. We're looking at you.
I'm not naming names. I don't want people killing me. What else did we have?
Actually, that was it. We've exhausted our topics.
All right. Well, I'll do a quick rundown of tonight's games. Just a quick update for those of you that are listening. Islanders and Boston. Islanders currently up 3-1 now in the second period. Pittsburgh and Detroit. Pittsburgh is up 2-1 with 15 minutes left in the second. Vancouver and St. Louis. That one's 5 minutes left in the first. 1-0 Vancouver. Chicago and Nashville. It's 1-0 Chicago at the moment with just over a minute left. Arizona and Minnesota have just under a minute left to play in a 0-0 game, and Calgary, Carolina are yet to play. That starting and final game will be Los Angeles and Buffalo. That doesn't start for another.
Can you really call that one a game, though?
That's basically just practice for LA for about an hour.
Yeah. No, 2 hours. I mean, I think the game is going to get over quickly, but the fact that they have to stop play every time LA scores is going to keep the game going on a little longer.
Quick update, Nashville has just scored, tie up the game with a minute left in play, so that one's going to be, this one's a good one. If you're not watching it, you should definitely be watching it. The battle of the undefeated teams so far, the only two left, Nashville and Chicago. Both teams are playing very well so far. I've been watching this one for quite a while now, and I don't know who actually just scored. James Neal.
Did he score with his stick or did he use his knee?
I think he kneed the puck in.
That might be it.
Like you were talking about earlier, James Neal producing for Nashville. So you know, I'm not really too sure what the Nashville fans think of James Neal so far, but obviously I don't know. I think giving up Hornquist, if they could have kept Hornquist somehow, I don't think it would have been possible. But Hornquist and Neal together would have been excellent. Although I'm pretty sure that Hornquist
is now on the Penguins. He was
no. Hornquist, yeah, they're both right wings, so that wouldn't really work. I mean, I'm not sure how if they're like able to play different positions, but they're both right wings as far as I know.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I don't know how it's gonna go. I mean, we're looking at a war zone right now. I'd be surprised if any of them can actually not come out on top in that division. I mean, the only team I see not really, the Central Division. Did I say? I don't think I specified.
I don't think you said a division.
No, but in that division, I mean, you're looking at, like I said before, it is an absolute arms race, and the only team I can see out of the four heavy hitters, Chicago, St. Louis, now Nashville, and Dallas, the only team I can see not coming out of there is maybe St. Louis. I don't think St. Louis has it this year, necessarily. I don't think they have the defense, and maybe the goaltending as well. But, I mean, maybe they have the offense to make up for
it. Definitely Nashville's looking good so far. I don't know. The Central is going to be difficult to predict this year. I think you can confidently say Chicago and Dallas will be in that. They'll be in. You could probably put money on St. Louis. But now with Nashville, it's hard to tell really. In the Pacific Division, I think Anaheim is extremely well. They're gonna do good this season. LA and San Jose obviously are gonna do good, and then after that, I really don't think that any of the other teams are gonna be making the playoffs. And then in the Metro, I think Islanders will secure a spot, but I think they'll get a wild card. I think Columbus will make the playoffs. I think Pittsburgh will, and I think the Rangers will. And in the Atlantic, it's looking like Montreal, Tampa are the best bets so far.
Yeah.
Ottawa's off to a good start, but I mean, they've won 4 in a row, so.
Ottawa's won 4 in a row?
Yep, 4-game win streak.
There's something going on, and I don't know what, but something has been under that city's ass then, because they have just snuck by with 4 wins, and I don't think it wasn't really publicized a lot.
Yeah, no one's really been talking about them.
Well, yeah, because no one talks about the Senators. Where are they relevant?
They're
Eric
not
Carlson,
very
there you
relevant.
go. Eric Carlson is all they have, and Bobby Ryan. But they're probably actually paying Bobby Ryan in Canadian Tire money.
I mean, you could get some pretty good stuff at Canadian Tire with all that money. Um, but speaking of Ottawa, I guess we should address the incidents that happened the other day, yesterday, in the nation's capital that postponed the Toronto-Ottawa game. The shootings that happened in Canada, like that's it's pretty
Who owns
scary
a gun in
stuff.
Canada? Seriously.
No
They're
one.
nice people. Who have they wronged?
There's pistols, but as far as other like rifles go, they're pretty hard to get. Um, I know like people with hunting rifles and stuff, but I think the guy had an automatic. I'm not entirely sure, to be completely honest. I shouldn't be talking about what he had, but it's definitely scary to think that that happens in Canada. Like obviously that's like the first real major thing in a while to happen here, but it's gonna be interesting to see. I know on Reddit on the thread where it got delayed, it was people were saying how loud the anthem was going to be sung on Saturday in Ottawa, and I couldn't agree more. It's going to be interesting to see. There's going to be
Yeah, it's the only thing I could possibly compare it to would have to be like after the marathon bombings here in Boston. Like it was just so like emotional to have them play again. Even though it was a loss, it was just like I don't know. It was
Yeah, it
almost
brings the city and the team
unreal.
close. I think like after the Boston bombings, like that was like huge for Boston. Like like the city, I think it just became together as one, banded together. Obviously,
Yeah.
the severities are a bit different, but um,
I'm secretly hoping for Ottawa to like come out and make the playoffs. I'll eat that hat. You know.
you will gladly eat a hat for that.
Yeah. I really want Ottawa to come out and make something of themselves, especially after losing Spezza. The very season after losing Alfredson. They're losing captain after captain, and I'm sure if Carlson wants somewhere to go, he could come to Boston or something.
Oof,
But
I'm all for you guys or for Ottawa losing Spezza. Whew.
well, now he's in Dallas, so I'm sure you're happy about that, being a Stars fan as well.
Oh yes, my top three teams are all over the place. Florida, Ottawa, or sorry, Ottawa. Wow, Florida, Dallas, and Edmonton. Jeez.
Yeah, mine would be Boston, Anaheim, and Minnesota. So mine are also all over the place.
People when I wear my jerseys to the ODR, they probably stare at me and go, "What the hell is wrong with this kid?" Or when I wear my jerseys to school, oh man, I get some weird looks being in Edmonton wearing a Panthers jersey. Oh my god. There's another kid at my school actually who wears a Panthers jersey. We talk all the time. I forget his name, but talk to him sometimes. I feel pretty bad though.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
I have an Arizona Coyotes jersey from when they were still the Phoenix Coyotes. It's a Paul Bissonnette jersey. I can't wear it at the
Oh.
school. If I put it on, I take so much crap from people. Like, wow, you're wearing a Bissonnette jersey. He's so irrelevant. Anyone on my
I have
floor
a,
that's listening to the podcast is going to be at my door in about 45 seconds telling me that I am irrelevant.
Mhm. Yeah, I have a Jeremy Roenick Phoenix Coyotes jersey, but the green one they used to have, the Badlands one of the ugliest jerseys of all time according to people. Personally, I
Yeah,
think it's one of the nicest jerseys of all time. Whew, that's a good jersey. Um,
I believe that's everything that we
yeah, I think
wanted.
that's everything. I think we can probably wrap it up a little bit early, seeing as we're missing a couple people. But hopefully
Yeah.
next week they'll.
Maybe next week we can get the whole gang here and we won't be doing a duo.
I'm all good with a duo, but obviously,
The duo's good, but sometimes you really need that third opinion.
or
It's
fourth.
it's especially funny when me and Hamza can talk about actual hockey teams and then laugh at your opinion of the Florida Panthers.
Ugh.
Hey man, you got Ekblad, all right.
He's been playing very good actually. Ekblad's been he's been playing really good. Like, you know, I remember I watched Seth Jones' first games a couple times, or not a couple times. I watched some of his first games, and he played decent, but he didn't play like a established NHLer. Ekblad's really like put himself in a physical role where he's like not afraid to make a more like risky pass, if you will. But he's also like making like the safe plays on the boards, and he's not just dumping it in, going for an easy play too at the same time. And he's shooting the puck, which I think all Florida Panthers fans can just cry in happiness over.
Got made.
Pardon?
I'm not sure which one is more rare, a Florida Panther putting a shot on net, or the Florida Panthers having a fan at their game.
Ow, that was low.
Ooh.
Probably the fan at the game would probably be
main fan base lost 4 games.
Abandoned ship. That's okay.
I'm
South
looking
Florida
at the Twitter
sports.
feed right now, and everyone on here from Boston is like, the Boston Bruins are a rolling tire fire, abandoned ship. Season's over, boys. Pack it up. Let's just wait for Connor McDavid.
Oh yeah, that's annoying. I don't know. I think
Connor.
people that are jumping ship this early into the season
Leafs fans, Edmonton fans.
watch a couple games. God damn it! Like, oh my god. Yeah, I know your team sucks. Whatever. Not you specifically, but if your team sucks, you can. Like, if you're Carolina or Buffalo, you can jump ship. Any other team, you hang on for a little bit more. Maybe Arizona and Edmonton, because you guys kind of might not do that good. And Winnipeg, you're up there too.
Yeah, Winnipeg won't finish in the bottom 2, and that's because they just don't have talent. They have a lack of talent that puts them in the middle of the it puts them at the bottom of the Central Division, but maybe not the bottom of the NHL.
Well, they better not finish bottom 2, or I'm gonna eat a hat then. God.
Well, you know what? They better make the playoffs, because I'd have to eat it. I won't have to.
Why
eat
would
a
you
hat
take
then.
that? That's a bad bet, you know.
I joked and I was like, yeah, the final this year is going to be the Jets beating the Sabres in 6 games for the Cup. And it was an absolute joke, and I said on the podcast, because Hamza brought it up, he was like, yeah, what is your prediction? And I was like, obviously the Jets are taking it in 6 against Buffalo. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to eat a hat if that happens. And then I specifically said, nobody hold me against that. That was purely it was a joke. And the next day, I awoke to like 9 tweets that if I don't eat a hat, they're gonna come and like force feed it to me.
Oh, you're gonna be eating a hat then. I'm sorry.
I'm eating a hat. Oh boy.
We'll have fun with that hat. All right. Well, I think we can wrap this up now. It's been pretty much an hour, so we've managed to drag that on for a while. So good conversation today. Hopefully next Thursday we'll all be here for the next podcast, next episode of Toddler Thursdays.
Join us next week when we eat the Ottawa Senators alive.
I am Carter Ramondi. You can follow me on Twitter at Carter Ramondi.
Or
ArterRaimondi.
Or your secondary Twitter account.
Oh, no one knows about that. You
Yeah.
can't know about that.
Yeah.
That's my secret one.
If
you find it, it's not that hard.
Oh no, it's Rambo. It's
Please.
out there. It's out there. Deal with it.
You spilled the beans. That's my secondary one. Oh no, it's Rambo, all one word. You can follow that too for less interesting tweets.
Less interesting tweets about your home life.
Less interesting tweets about things no one cares about.
Brother's always watching.
Mm.
So, in addition to Carter, I'm John Mulcahy at J_Milkyoki. I'll be here next week, maybe. Maybe. Hopefully.
Most likely.
I want to be back. I just don't want to host because I clearly can't work Google Hangouts.
Yeah, well, I can host next week, I guess.
If possible. Hamza's got way more difficulties than I do.
Yeah, if we need, I can. Not a big deal.
Alright. See you next week, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.